special situations than driving in flat areas. So you constantly must consider the effects of gravity, because when you're driving through the mountains, gravity matters. It will pull you down and causing the track to peak speed when traveling downhill. Gravity also slows a track's forward motion when it's traveling uphill. So mountain roads often zigzag across the face of the mountain through a series of sharp curves and turns. In a very sharp turn, sometimes you go through the places called switchback. So the road bends back in the opposite direction. Now, special problems to inevitably face when driving across the mountains are natural laws. Which natural laws are we talking about? Gravity, weather, effects of altitude. When it comes to altitude, both the track and the drive can be affected in the following ways. First of all, in high altitudes, situations can cause shortness of breath. I'm sure some of you have seen when you're driving through the mountains, you just feel like you're not breathing enough. Why is it so? Sometimes you find your heartbeat is faster. Sometimes you experience headache. Sometimes you find yourself experiencing a reduction in concentration on driving. And sometimes you find yourself dozing. Such effects become even worse for fatigued drivers. So a reason to all these effects is due to low oxygen content in the air of mountain environment. Because in high altitudes, the air contains less oxygen, which results into the issue that I've just mentioned. The second reason is that a truck's engine gets affected by altitude as it reduces its climbing pulling power. Acceleration is sluggish, liquids spoil and evaporate easily, and that explains why most trucks end up mixing oil with water if a driver doesn't frequently observe the gauges in order to pull over the side of the road and stop to allow the engine to cool down. It is very dangerous for the engine to overheat because it can easily cause what we call vapor lock, which is the condition of a hot engine that causes a gaseous state which cannot be pumped into engine when you shut it off. So the engine may not start because fuel cannot be pumped into the engine gaseous state. So in such situations, you need to allow the engine to cool down and then start it again. The third challenge, the third challenging issue in mountain driving here in Zambia is weather. Rain, early morning fog, mist, or haze. If you're driving in other countries such as some parts of South Africa, you don't rule out snow or ice. It's important to inquire about the weather condition via WhatsApp groups or other media sources. Last time I was driving through Durban to Johannesburg, where somewhere after Pietermaritzburg going towards Harrismith, there was a terrible snow. We had to wait for the road to be cleared by the local authorities. So professional truck driving skills application in mountain driving is inevitably important to avoid possible collisions by minimizing the risks involved. Through good practice and knowledgeable personal discipline, especially when driving down the mountain, the force of gravity pulls your truck faster than usual, unless you resist it by engaging to the lowest gear. occasional application of the braking system that should resist gravity. Do not apply brakes steadily in mountains because the power of brakes can fade due to overheating. You need to decrease the engine power by way of downshifting, to lowest gears. If you are braking often, better shift to the lower gear. Keep your speed low enough so that you can stay in your lane. Don't ride the brake pedal. Use light pressure on brakes, to slow down gradually. A reason why you are downshifting is to reduce speed, maintain control of the track, and save on braking. So you must keep the track under your control at all times, because a heavy-duty track like the one you're driving usually experience braking problems when driving down the mountain road. Some mountains, mountain roadways such as the Chirundu road were designed to have an escape or runaway ramp, if you like, depending on what you call it. The ramp provides a place for speeding vehicle to safely stop when brakes are no longer effective. There are also certain situations such as when two vehicles meet on the narrow mountain road where none can safely pass. I've had some truck driver students ask me questions over similar situations, during classroom training sessions. What to do when confronted by such circumstances? The answer is simple. When you are found in such a situation, the vehicle heading down the hill must back up until the driver going uphill can pass, for a simple reason. Because it is more dangerous for a vehicle being driven uphill to go in reverse than it is to drive downhill. So when driving your truck uphill, steady acceleration is necessary to mountain speed to some reasonable position. If the hill is steep, downshift in a track with a manual transmission. Remember that a high elevation, at high elevation, the amount of power available to the engine might be reduced. Stay to the left lane, sound the horn, and flashlights if you cannot see oncoming traffic, around mountains or caves. Driving up or down the mountains presents special problems. So the roads are caved, sometimes sharp, hill and down steep grades. That is the more reason why you need to use extra care of your skills to be able to control your track under, those conditions. If possible, that an oncoming vehicle can cross into your lane because the driver is going too fast for the cave. The major cause of most collisions in mountain driving is that of driving too fast on caves, loaded trucks and other heavy-duty vehicles pulling trailers move slowly when driving uphill, up on mountain roads. In such situations, maintain a stable following distance. Follow at their speed, bearing in mind that some vehicles may fail to pull up the mountain and start pulling back. As professional truck driver, always bear in mind that sharp caves, steep grades, and the other vehicles limit how much of the road we are hit you can see at any given time. So the role of gravity in mountain driving is that when you drive uphill, gravity acts to slow your track. Therefore, in order to maintain speed, you need to engage to low gear and accelerate just before the hill to give your track extra power. Then you drive downhill. Gravity acts with your track. So as a result, your speed increases. It is for such reasons why you should downshift and apply brakes in order to resist that force of gravity. So gravity, gives objects their weight. The weight of an object, such as your track, is distributed evenly about a point. This point is called the object center of gravity. What this means is that the lower an object center of gravity, the more stable the object. So some tracks are designed to have low center of gravity in order to handle well in turns and during quick maneuvers, like the one I was driving when I was working for a certain transport company in Osaka. So some good engineering mechanisms saved my life at Kapingozi along Chirundu Road in southern Zambia. So a truck loaded with heavy goods on top of a light goods on a trailer raises even more of such truck's center of gravity, making it less stable and difficult to control when turning or driving on curves, and especially during sudden changes in braking, acceleration, and guiding. Almost all trucks overland vehicles have those problems. So I noticed that most of the drivers across SADC region, and more especially in my native country Zambia, do not attach the importance of physics in truck driving, when in fact more than 60% of the driving task is composed of pure physics. Don't necessarily blame truck drivers for such attitudes, but the country's lower truck driving education standard somehow pegged the truck drivers even remuneration to that of an unskilled domestic worker. So if only our country's truck driver education system could be upgraded, it's best all the drivers would be recognized as professionals. So physics, being a scientific study of forces such as heat, light, sound, and others, which relate and explain how they affect the movements of heavy-duty trucks on our roadways across the continent of Africa and beyond. The law of physics is simply a law of natural forces. Unless we understand how these natural forces play on the movement of trucks, we can never explain the causes of many collisions or accidents on our continent. Therefore, natural laws are categorized by early science revolutionaries, can greatly help us understand the machines we drive. My colleagues, natural laws affect stopping distance, braking, steering, and understanding of relationships between those natural laws and our trucks can help us become better and safer professional truck drivers. We cannot shy away from natural laws because these laws of nature affect all vehicles the same way. Yet we, the people, react differently. For instance, you may not stop within the same distance another driver in the same truck will. So the distance your truck takes to stop is its total stopping distance. Perception distance, reaction distance, plus braking distance make up total stopping distance. So a good rule of process to the Dennis OJDA process, defensive scanning rule, which helps us to understand that better. Before you come to a stop, you need to identify why you must stop, why you must come to a stop. So as you judge and decide to stop, that becomes your reaction time, followed by your action time, which is your braking distance. So the Dennis OJDA system takes time as a truck driver, go through important stages ranging from observing, judging, and deciding for action, which affects your stopping distance in a way. So, how much do natural laws affect your driving, your truck driving? For instance, braking is a result of friction between the car, the brake linings, and the wheel drums, or wheel discs and pads, if you like. So, friction slows the rotation of the wheels and the tires and the roadway surface. When you apply brakes on your truck, you are decreasing the truck's momentum and kinetic energy. So, how are the four factors generally affect the truck's braking distance? One, condition of the roadway affects the braking distance because the distance is greater when the friction on the road surface is reduced due to bad weather or in situations where the road surface is unpaved or rough. Then secondly, in hills, mountains, a force of gravity affects the time and space needed to stop a truck when descending down on a steep grade due to the fact that the truck descending down tends to go faster and that increases the braking distance. The third one is the condition of a truck, which is another factor. That can greatly affect the stopping distance, defective brakes, defective tires, or worn out shock absorbers are potential elements capable to reduce traction by increasing distance. The fourth one, the other obvious factor is speed. The higher the speed, the longer the braking distance. So apart from gravity, we need to understand that there are other forces such as energy of motion or kinetic energy. In simple terms, the energy an object has as it moves is called energy of motion or kinetic energy. All objects in motion have kinetic energy as well as momentum. This means that the faster the truck moves, the more energy of motion it has. So the truck's energy of motion doubles when its weight doubles. This means that when the truck weighs twice as much, it needs about twice the distance to stop. When driving a truck that never compete with empty trucks, drive your truck and concentrate. So the faster the truck moves, the more energy of motion it has. The truck's energy of motion will change in proportion to the square of its change in speed. So when the truck speed doubles, it means 4 times the distance. Why do I need to explain the law of physics in professional truck driving? Because a responsible truck driver, once you understand natural law concerning energy of motion, you can adjust your traffic situations ahead of time. My aim is to make you understand the importance of always reducing speed in especially emergency situations, bearing in mind that every time you reduce your speed in half, you actually cut the truck's energy of motion by 4 times. So, my dear listeners, I'm a researcher, instructor and author of a book, Advanced Principles of Professional International Truck Driving. I'm also in charge of education in the Southeast Truck Drivers Association of Zambia. And I'm also working as the head of driver training in my company. So have a blessed, wonderful time. This is your host, instructor, Dennis Wendy, author. Thank you.
We've just done mountain driving skills, and you're one of them that attended. What do you say about mountain driving?
Yeah, I've learned a lot when it comes to mountain driving. As a professional truck driver, what is expected is that if you are climbing a hill, you expect to lower the gear so that you maintain the gear level in order to climb the hill successfully. It is not ideal for a professional truck driver to apply higher gear on a mountain. Yeah. And also the law of the natural law of gravity is also very important as a professional truck driver.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, energy of motion, kinetic energy, inertia, and that. So, how does it relate to this?
Mountain driving generally. What I would say on this is we learned, which we know some of our drivers, let let me just use some of our drivers because we've been training them on this as a trainer. One thing we need to know about this is anytime we're climbing a hill, we're ascending a hill, the best gear to engage is the lower gear. The lower gear is the best gear to engage when you're climbing up. In the sense that the same way applies when you are descending the hill. Once you're descending the hill, you have to engage the lower gear. In case of anything that has to do with you want to stop, it will be easier to stop at any point in time. But we discovered that some of our drivers apply neutral even in that kind of situation, which it will not help you in any other way. Engaging the lower gear is also engaging gear when you are climbing, when you are descending, will help. Is another form of braking system than using the higher gear, and already the law of gravity is already there against you. So once you are climbing, that's the best way to go when climbing the hill.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it's quite wonderful to see that these lessons are helping. So far from the training you had in Obajana, what has been the response, and do we have any improvements from that?
Okay. Ever since we did the training in Obajana, that was in 2023. When we came back, we did the trainer session. We educated some of our other colleagues. Then, on the driver's aspects, one thing, because I'm personally one of the people that also train drivers when it comes to the defensive driving training. Even a few days back, it's on Tuesday, also trained them. There's this feedback on most of the drivers talking about some of these things they are hearing for the first time, some of them. And it's really impacting because when you look at maybe accident record, for instance, there are so many accidents that are avoidable. And it's unfortunately that some of the drivers didn't know that before. But when we came, we started telling them about the issue, like the OGDA, for instance. If you meet some of them, now, you know, the education system, most of them are not learned when it comes to talking about school. But some of them, when you meet them, you ask them, what is OGDA? They'll be able to tell you what is the meaning of OJDA, which is the observe, judge, decide, and act. And they'll tell you in even the local dialect, which is in the Hausa, because we teach them in the language at which they will understand. And when it comes to also fatigue management, these are some of the common things that affect our drivers, especially the talking about the OJDA, for instance. OJDA is something that any driver that uses that process, in a way, it covers a large percentage when it comes to driving as a whole. You discover that it will help you to prevent accidents, because as a driver, you're driving and you're observing already, studying the hazard that can affect your driving, that will make you to judge or decide or act what to do. Now, by the time you know that one, you will discover that you're not talking about over-speeding, but a driver that can observe, for instance, observation, knowing the hazard that is on the road that can affect your own driving, then judging, then deciding. A driver that is coming with a speed and has observed, has judged, the decision that is trying to take and act on will be, let me reduce my speed. So as you can see, it covers a lot that OJD. They're talking about fatigue management and trip journey management of a trip. So all these things we're getting a very good feedback, especially when it comes to the accident record in our fleets.
So in terms of percentage, what has been the percentage reduction from the last training accidents?
Okay, in terms of percentage-wise, you discover that, let me not quote what it is, not on the book, but percentage-wise, we had drastic reduction. For instance, sometimes you hardly go a week without accidents. Looking at the magnitude of our trucks, we have a very large fleet here in Ilara. But when you look at some weeks, we go accident-free, talking about minor accidents. It goes a long way. You see a whole, talking about thousands of trucks. They're flying our kind of road. It will surprise you that sometimes we go accident-free week. And when you hear the accident, you hear, oh, this is just a minor. Maybe due to maybe a mechanical aspect of the truck or the environmental factor, sorry. And you know the environmental, most times we don't have control over them. So we do get those kind of accidents. But comparing last year and this year, talking about June, May, last year, comparing with last year, we have drastic reduction in accidents. Because we do this training, it is mandatory for every driver. There are yardsticks we use when we do the training, and sometimes you see the driver coming to ask us, when next are we having this training, when next are we having this training? Because they're enjoying the trainings, the videos are attached with the illustration, they're all very good. So the DBT intensive driving training is very good for every driver to partake in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So, in terms of percentage, are we talking about 20%, 40%? What is the difference last year and this year?
Well, I might not be able to answer that because I was actually coming from.
Okay. Check. Okay. You have attended this training. You are part of the class. What are the few things that have made you excited in this training, and what are some points that you've picked?
Okay, I've got to understand that it's very necessary to practice safe driving techniques, and OJDA is not just for we, it's for everybody to practice. So in as much as we are being taught here, we should pass knowledge to others.
Oh, you're back.
Thank you.
Who attended training in Obajana, and she's part of this class as well. Very positive contributions, and she made the class exciting in Obajana. And this is Jennifer. Jennifer, you are part of the class now.
Yes, sir.
So how are you finding this second session?
Very interesting. And okay, from the first class in Obajana, we learned about the OJDA and having to transfer it to our drivers here. You know, a lot of them talk about the OJDA principle, and that really, really helps them. And then for this particular class, it's like an advanced class for the last one that we did. And for this one, I'm learning that one of the main reasons why there's a stop sign is for the pedestrians. A lot of drivers do not know this. So I'm grateful that I am in this class.
Okay, so do you think it's going to make that big difference, that big impact?
Yes, I think yes, it will, definitely.
Statistically, looking at the time before you came to Obajana for that training, and after you came and you provided training, in terms of percentage, how are you doing in Abeshe?
Okay, I can't actually quantify that, but I know there has been a tremendous increase in the knowledge of the drivers, and then in their outputs out there. Our drivers are more conscious now when they're on the road.
Okay. No, the training still goes on. We are together throughout the week, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You're part of the training. What is your take?
Okay, I am actually part of the class in Obajana as well.
Okay.
Prior to the time before I attended training, the perception is this: I've been in logistic company, or let me say probably transport firm. If you ask me for my opinion before then, I will tell you that we cannot level accident at zero. But after attending the training, my perception and thinking about transport and logistic company entirely changes. And I have seen to the possibilities that it's very, very possible we trend at zero when it comes to accident or crashes cases. And way to go about this is training the drivers, which is the key tools. And when you lack education, then you seems to be novice in anything you are doing. And when knowledge is being passed to you, and you listen and understand the concept, then we are somehow safe, or we are somehow home. That's my belief. I have this maximum belief that once the drivers are being trained, or whoever that is going to be in wheel is trained adequately, then we can train at zero accident. I have this maximum belief now, prior to the time or compared to the time before I attend the training. Yes, the OJDA, the mountain driving, the alcohol aspect of it, and a lot more from the training are very, very beneficial. Once somebody finds this training, please, I will advise him wherever he should just grab it with all sense of seriousness, because there is a lot to take. Thank you.
Yeah, this is wonderful. So we can work together. We already have a WhatsApp group. That WhatsApp group was initiated by Ibese.
Yes, sir.
And people in Obajana were also part of it.
Yes, sir.
I think we'll find a way of mixing, because people in Congo Brazzaville will be holding some trainings there, and we hope our French brothers, how we are going to maneuver, will work out something. But I'm just happy to hear that now everyone has a positive mind that zero tolerance.
Exactly.
It's achievable.
Exactly.
The only gap is to reach out to each and every driver to share this knowledge.
Exactly.
Then we are done.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Your
name again?
My name is Noura Yusuf.
Oh, yes.
I remember there was an assignment to give us, and in my fact findings, I was able to figure one or two things that are very, very key. And you just asked us, the question was very technical, that requires you to do some investigation. And in the course of my investigation, I see the realities. And these are the key factors why we have so many crashes on the road. And it's because of the training that we lack. If you see the process of obtaining driving license, you see that it's somehow loose. Somebody just go, he can drive, he can move the truck forward, backward, reverse, and do some other things, and he will tell you that I am just done and I can drive. Whereas there are so many things that he doesn't know about the driving knowledge or driving education. So because of that, he lacks all those things. He will be on the road thinking he's good in driving, whereas there are so many things he doesn't know. And I think the question goes this way: why is it that we're having we hardly have accidents, maybe on aircraft compared to on the road? Which, when you look at the just technical logic behind it, before you obtain a license as a pilot, you have to go through series of scrutiny training, which the training is what you should identify there. Your knowledge gap in that aspect needs to be drilled, scrutinized in various stages before you obtain the license. And obviously, if this has been achieved, then of course the carefulness on how to handle aircraft will be very, very how will I put it? I don't know. I have missed out a word to use on that. And when you compare to road driving, if we are going to make it very strict as well in the driving license, before you obtain it, we have to ensure you undergo these scrutiny stages before you obtain the driving license. Then I think we are home. Don't just wake up and go get license and you tell yourself that you are a driver. No. There are so many things too.
And on the stop sign, do you think drivers have the technicalities that we just addressed in this training room?
Yes, training is basic.
Yes. Do they have the skill on how to conduct themselves on stop signs, like we did, like we explained during the training?
Well,
you remember the stop sign?
Yes, the stop signing is also part of it. But just like I said, it doesn't only end in stop signages, because these are the only belief the so-called drivers are having. Once they know the stop signages, which even that one, they may only know the local signages. Just like we come to know that we have international signages and we have local signages. Mm-hmm. So if you are restricted to only local signages, you can't tell us that you know all. Until you are able to put the two together, then you can tell yourself that yes, when it comes to signages on the road, you don't have problem. So that is it. There are a lot to say whenever you attend these international truck driving skills. There are a lot to take home.
Okay.
Yes,
No,
sir.
it's been wonderful. Pleasure talking to you. Next week we will expand we'll see how we accelerate our programs to ensure that we have the best package for Ibese. We want zero tolerance to be achieved, and I know it's just a matter of time before each and every driver is put in the system. We are good to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the best from our colleagues here, talking about how best this training has been and how beneficial it has been. So for me, this is Dennis Wendia. Thank you very much.